magic twanger, Froggy.
Hiya, kids, hiya, hiya.
The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, here are your co-hosts, Eve D., Bruce H., and the Monty'man.
Hiya, kids, hiya, hiya.
Welcome to the Buster Brown Show. And remember I said only thing I remember is Buster Brown Shoes? That's because Buster Brown Shoes sponsored the show.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I looked that up on the internet's just a great tool. I looked that up and I found that and I saw Froggy and the magic clanger thing was from the clock.
Right.
Yeah, he would say something to the effect of you better make yourself known, Froggy, and then the frog would show up and
mm-hmm.
What a weird show.
Magically, boing.
Yeah, there'll be a little puff of smoke and there was the frog.
Now that I remember. Now, isn't that funny? You're talking about this, and I remembered some of the hiya, hiya, hiya. But when you did the puff of smoke and then the frog, it's like, oh, yeah. I remember that.
It was a puppet. It was a little frog puppet. Oh, gee. Yes, indeed. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. This week, we're talking about understanding steps 6 and 7. We're going to kind of put them together in this show. But before we do that, just a reminder, and the date's creeping up amongst us quickly. February 26th, February 26th, from 6 to 9 p.m., recovery comedian Bob Perkel and myself, we will be at the Lifeline Connections alumni event. And just because it says alumni doesn't mean you're not welcome. It's open to the public. The theme is I Love Recovery. And we're going to have free food there and vendor booths and raffles and door prizes, and it is located at Clark College Geyser Hall Student Center in Vancouver, Washington. That is February 26th, 6 through 9. It's family-friendly comedy, so bring the kiddos, and you'll have a blast. The place will be packed. Every year it's packed, and it's just so much fun. So don't miss out on that. Roger McDermott. Hey, Roger. There you go. Just a shout-out. Roger's one of our sponsors here at Take 12 Radio. If you look on our YouTube page, it'll show you who our sponsors are and JMR Consultants. Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted to talk about. And I just wanted to thank Roger. Roger has been donating some pretty sizable amounts. He's taken over the sponsorship that Origins did, and Origins is used. It's one of the largest treatment facilities in the country, and Roger, who's just one guy, stepped up to the plate and said, I'll step into that position. And I just wanted to thank you, Roger, for that very, very much. Very much. Let's see here. Oh, in the news, Disney screenwriter Daniel Garrison passed away over the weekend after battling brain cancer for some time. He was only 49 years old. He will be most well known for his co-writing in 2001 Disney film Monsters, Inc., alongside frequent collaborators Robert L. Bayard and Dan Scanlon. Also Big Hero 6. He was a writer of Big Hero 6. He collaborated in Cars, Disney's movie Cars. Just a bunch of Disney stuff. Let's see. Curious George, Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, Big Wolf on Campus, Misguided Angels, Something So Right, and the new Addams Family movie. But he's only 49. Died of brain cancer.
Wow.
Yeah, just over the weekend. You just don't know, do you?
You don't.
We could step out this door right now, and that's it.
We don't even have to step out the door.
Right now. Right here at the microphone.
I'd like to stay seated if stepping out the door means that's it.
Yeah, isn't that the way our mind works? Let's be more comfortable. We don't want to get hurt when we die.
I'm okay to cross over, but I don't want to suffer in the process.
Yeah. Anyway, so our condolences to him and his family. He was married for 20 years.
Oh.
And has some kids, and that's always really, really rough. Okay, so let me think here. Let me think. I don't know what... I'm kind of at a loss this morning. I have a canker sore. It really bugs me. It hurts. So we're going to go to our sponsors right away, and then we're going to get back, and we're going to do some trivia. This week, it's not 6 and 7 step trivia, because it's kind of hard to pull trivia out of these two.
And I studied so hard.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Now, that really upsets me.
I'm sure you did.
So now we have an excuse to fail at the trivia today.
Well, it's going to be useless trivia today.
Even more reason.
even more reason. All right, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
I'm such a reasonable
Free
guy.
by the Sea is a drug and alcohol recovery center located in beautiful Ocean Park, Washington. This facility is amazingly gorgeous, but what's even more amazing is the integrity of the staff and the treatment provided for those wishing to recover from narcotic and alcohol addiction. The folks at Free by the Sea have a passion for presenting the solution to addiction for you or your loved one. To speak with an admissions specialist, visit freebythesea.com or call toll-free 800-272-9199. This place is simply amazing.
Serene Scene magazine is published for individuals who are seeking knowledge, support, and hope. Addiction is a systemic problem, and the content of Serene Scene reflects the complexity of putting addiction into remission, with special attention given to the loved ones of the addict. And now, here's Andrew Martin, Editor-in-Chief for Serene Scene.
I'm Andrew Martin, creator of Serene Scene magazine. The whole purpose of Serene Scene magazine is to help people help themselves to a long-term quality lifestyle of recovery. Please have a look at some of the technological features that it has, the audio files, and the video files that are incorporated into the publication as well. I hope you have fun with it, and I hope there's something there for you.
Serene Scene, a magazine for long-term healthy lifestyles of recovery. Visit www.serenescenemagazine.com and subscribe today.
And now, it's the quiz of the week.
That's right, everybody. It's time for Take 12 Trivia's Quiz of the Week. Brought to you by that award-winning recovery magazine, the 12-Step Gazette. Visit them at 12stepgazette.com. Now, here's the Monty'man.
Yes, indeedy. By the way, and I forgot to mention this before we do Take 12 Trivia. I had the honor of going down to Coburg on Friday and take the tour of the new campus for Serenity Lane.
Yay!
And it is truly, you could truly now call it Serenity Lane. Mm-hmm. You're not in the middle of a bunch of fraternities that are
Yes.
passing beer over the fence to the clients and going for a walk and worry about, running into a bag of dope on the sidewalk, But I even got my mug. I took the tour.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And so Larry down there, Larry B., the vice president of development, took us around, and Kathy Williamson and John and I can't remember his name now. I feel so embarrassed. But he's the director of Chance, and John works for Chance, and we all went down there, and I am blown away. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
55 acres or something, and every bit of the property is, it's not just empty acreage. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. And they're expanding all sorts of things. They're doing all sorts of wonderful things. The place is truly holistic, and it blows my mind what they're doing down there. And they're talking about coming on board, and when I told Larry what the advertising package included, he goes, He said, "Are you serious? That's nothing." He says, "We need to do this." So they're working on that. So they're probably going to be coming aboard and be a partner of Take 12 Radio. But man, it's going to be the largest treatment center in Oregon.
Yes,
it is amazing, absolutely amazing. I love it. I told him and I love that they have a little guard tower, thing.
And where is it at?
In Coburg, right down there by. What is it, Monarch or Monaco? Or
Monaco. It's
Monaco.
right off of the Coburg exit. You can see it from the freeway.
It's amazing. It's absolutely gorgeous. You talk about feeling serene. Yeah, and I'm telling you what, and there's cameras.
Is it going to be out of reach for the common man to be able to go there and get some treatment?
As far as financial goes, that's all changing too.
That's the problem. That is the
biggest
they
obstacle.
Don't have insurance or
right.
the money to get in these places.
A way they approach that is changing also. There's going to be more scholarships. This is going to. You guys, listeners, you're going to be hearing a lot more about it as we go. We're going to have some people on the show and so forth, but. Yeah, just really impressed. All right, so Take 12 Trivia, quiz of the week. This week it's useless trivia. Question number 1, you get 3 in a bonus. Are you ready? Oh, where's my thing? Where's my gun?
Oh, good.
There it is. Okay, so that's what you get if you get it wrong. Where's my bell? I lost my bell.
Well, I vote that you can't use...
I found it.
Oh.
You vote I can't use what?
Either one of them.
So if you get it right, you get this. If you get it wrong, you get this. And if you get them all right, you get a hug. All right, so here we go. All right, trivia question number 1. The first toilet ever seen on television.
Oh, good grief.
Was it on Leave It to Beaver, I Love Lucy, or Father Knows Best?
Well, I'm going to go with Leave It to Beaver.
I'm going to go with Father Knows Best.
Bruce is correct.
Yep.
Leave It to Beaver. Sorry, Eve. It was Leave It to Beaver.
Yay!
Don't you feel educated?
Me and the frog.
You and the frog. Wow. My sound is really hot today. Mm-hmm. Okay, there we go. All right, number 2. The glue on the Israeli postage stamp is the Star of David. The back of it is actually imported into the glue. Certified kosher, or doesn't work.
Certified kosher.
Star of David.
Star of David, yeah.
Nah, sorry, guys. It is actually certified kosher.
It would have to be.
Yeah, it would. I actually we should have guessed that one.
Stop and think about it. Yeah, but we're dumb.
Okay, so you're familiar with Michael Myers?
Yes.
Michael Myers, Bruce, are you familiar with that? Who that is?
No.
The original Halloween movie?
No.
Oh, Bruce.
Hey, this is useless trivia.
Well, the mask used by Michael Myers in the original Halloween movie was actually a what? And here are your choices. Captain Kirk's mask painted white, made of leather, or was it made of paper?
This is useless. I'm going to go along with the middle one, but I know
made
it's
of
the
leather?
first one.
Made of paper.
Okay, well, you both were incorrect. You would have been right, Bruce. It actually was a Halloween mask of Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
And it was painted white.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something?
Aren't you excited?
I've built on my useless knowledge.
See, it's because we don't go with what we're thinking first, and we go with the
No,
other
I never thought the first.
You didn't?
No.
Well,
I was just trying to get you to come along with me on this because
here's your bonus. What is calcium carbonate normally known as? Calcium carbonate. Here's your choices: milk of magnesia, Tums, or chalk.
Tums.
Tums. I go along with that.
Chalk.
Magnesium.
Chalk
chalk.
was the answer.
Oh, it is.
Chalk was the answer. Yep.
Get out of here.
Calcium carbonate. Yeah. Come up here, young man, and write, I will never pass notes in class with this piece of calcium carbonate. 100 times.
Hey, take this if you got heartburn.
I think it might help that too.
I never thought of that.
Good.
Chewing on a piece of chalk.
Because that's what Tums tastes like. Chalk.
Yes, it does.
does.
Unless you get, there's that kind of Tums now that dissolves really fast. It's very fruity. And I happen to like it.
This is sick.
Hey, did either one of you guys watch the Super Bowl yesterday? I'm not a football guy.
I was working yesterday.
I
so.
did.
Did you? Mm-hmm. Even I know this. What a boring game. It was horrible. And thank goodness we were over at Esther and Cliff's house, and it was wonderful having them invite us. And I'm so glad they're talkers, because we got to talk and visit and not watch that silly thing. Oh, my word. It was horrible. I mean, football to me is horrible anyway, unless I'm watching my son play. Then I like it because I'm watching him. But I don't know any of these terms. So Colin asked me, he says, Dad, what you like baseball? Why do you like baseball? I says, because I can see what's happening. Mm-hmm. I can see the ball. I can see where they're at. When football, they're all mangled up together, and you can't even tell what's going on. And then there's so many terms and so many this. He goes, well, let me give you some terms and see if you know them. I said, I don't know any of them. He goes, you know what sack means? I go, yeah, it's what you put your lunch in. You know what the line of scrimmage is? I go, look at the only line I know about, was cocaine, man. He just laughed. He goes, seriously, Dad? And I go, yeah. He goes, do you know what a helmet is? I said, I do know that. So anyway, there does it for Take 12 Trivia and some silliness. Thank you, Cecil. Thank you, Cecil. Thank you.
Thank you, Monty'man. Thanks, everybody. You did a really horrible job.
All right, we'll be back with the topic after we hear from Therapia Addiction Healing Centers. Hello there. This is the Monty'man from Take 12 Radio. Men, women, and their families experience tremendous pain and suffering due to the struggles they face from substance abuse and its co-occurring mental health challenges. They need to find a safe place for peace and healing. Well, Therapia Addiction Healing Center was born out of a deep desire to provide that safe and powerful healing environment. Therapia is a Greek word for healing. Traditionally, classic Greek medicine was holistic. It viewed the mind and body as one. At Therapia Addiction Healing Center, they have developed a holistic healing approach to treating addiction that is designed to bring into balance the mind, body, and the spirit. Therapia Addiction Healing Center, helping people recover from addictions by developing and maintaining healthy, meaningful relationships with God, self, and others. Okay. Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm just a little off today. I don't know why I can't get myself centered.
Plunk your magic prongy, froggy.
Hiya, kids. Hiya, hiya.
Hiya, kids. Hiya, hiya. I'm like a boy with a new pair of shoes.
I took the tour. Now, I love Serenity Lane, but this is the ugliest color for a cup I've ever seen. Sorry, Larry. It's like pea soup green or something. I don't know what they were thinking. Oh, well. Okay, so before we do the topic, I wanted to play something for you guys. We have somebody coming on board here in a few weeks on Mondays. We have resurrected what was known years ago as the Teen Challenge Good News Report. And Mike Hodges, who's actually not doing real well now, he has Parkinson's and so forth. He was the founder of Teen Challenge here in Oregon, and then went on to be the president of Teen Challenge International out of Springfield, Missouri. And Mike and I are friends, and we go way, way back. And the outreach coordinator for Teen Challenge Pacific Northwest is a fellow by the name of Kyle Thompson. And it's interesting how things work. I was the first outreach coordinator years ago. And because of active addiction and not understanding recovery or addiction, so things went sideways with me. But we came full circle, and Kyle and I are good friends, and we got to talking, and we decided that we were going to resurrect the Teen Challenge Good News Report. And so they're going to have a couple guys come out once a week, and maybe on occasion I'll take my mobile equipment and go out to shed, and they're just going to give their testimony. And what's going on in their lives as far as what God's done to change the direction of their life from active addiction to being in a state of recovery. And so that's going to be coming up. So here is a soundbite of something that will be very close to what you'll hear.
My last day using was June 9th of 2012, and I came to Teen Challenge on June 22nd. I felt in the right place. You know, it was a place where I can get help, and in the first, couple months, it was just kind of getting my surroundings, and I rededicated my life there that following Monday when a guy came in to do a testimony, and I could see, this is serious. He meant life or death. He graduated the program in Compton, and that's when I saw the seriousness, and that's when I pressed into the Lord. And he's done things to me, in me, I've never even thought, possible. And he is truly showing me how to live life as a Christian man, because I didn't learn how to live life when I was a teenager. I stopped living at 15 years old, and now he's teaching me how to live life, how he wants me to live. I never had a personal relationship with my Creator, and that's what I got when I came here, was that true dependence and relationship. Jesus Christ is not only my Savior, but now He's my Lord, and He truly is. He is who I wake up and I want to serve each day, and I don't play victim anymore with my life. And that's the biggest thing I got out of Teen Challenge so far, honestly, is I don't play victim. I have a God who's there for me. He has a hope and a future, and He works all things together for my good, and that is a promise I rest on every day. I've lived my life as that helpless, poor me addict. That's who I was, and now I'm a bold man in Christ, is who I am, and who the power of Jesus gives me. I handed Him the keys and said, I'm done, ruining my life, and He has taken my life and is bringing it to places I never thought I'd be. I believe that everyone will come to their full potential when they're in the power of Jesus Christ, and that's what I pray that God will allow me to come, is that full potential of myself. And I'm very excited for my future. I understand what I want to do in my life now, and I understand that there is something worth living for. We don't go through this life just floating by and passing by, and it's not a party. It's a servanthood. It's furthering God's kingdom. It's serving my King. Teen Challenge has definitely opened my eyes to that, and without it, I don't know where I'd be right now. My name is Michael, and this is my story.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing you get to look forward to in the weeks to come. The Teen Challenge Good News Report here at take12radio.com on your internet dial. And we may even branch out to where we have some of the guys that are getting ready to graduate actually host the show. And so that'll be fun. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. That means I have to let go a little bit. That's good for me.
Yeah.
But it'll be good for them. It'll be something they can cross off their bucket list and be involved in.
Are you crying?
I am. No, I had an itch right there. It did look like I was crying, didn't it?
I think you were crying.
I wasn't crying. But I do eat quiche. Step 6 and step 7. Step 6 says we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And step 7 says humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. If you flip over to page 76 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it states, step 6, it says we then took a look, it's talking about after step 5, We then took a look at step 6. It says, we have emphasized willingness as being indispensable. Are we now ready to let God remove from us all the things which we have admitted are objectionable? Can he now take them all, every one? If we still cling to something we will not let go, we ask God to help us be willing. And that's where they get that whole thing, ask, if you're not willing, ask to be willing to be willing, and if you're not willing to be willing, ask to be willing to be willing to be willing, blah, 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 is from that. Then it goes on to step 7. It says, when ready for what? Well, if we're willing that he does this, we say something like this. And it's interesting to me, step 7 is, the whole step is a prayer.
Yes.
It says, my Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. We have then completed step 7. Okay, so having read both of those, who wants to launch us forth here on step 6 and 7?
I'll take a step.
All right, buddy.
And I think that I'm going to have to go back to the steps. It says that if we can answer to our satisfaction, answer what? And there's some questions at the last of step 5.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it says. It says, we thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know him better. Taking the book down from the shelf, we turn the page which contains the 12 steps. Carefully reading the first 5 proposals, we ask if we have omitted anything. For we are building an arch through which we will walk a free man at last. Is our work solid so far? Are the stones properly in place? Have we skipped on the cement put into the foundation? Have we tried to make mortar without sand? Those are important questions.
Yeah.
You
can't go on from there unless you can answer those.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's just go back for a minute and before we go forward.
Yeah.
And let's look at what the first 5 proposals are. There says, we admitted we are powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. It says, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So we're looking for something that can restore us to sanity, not sobriety.
Yep.
See? Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Okay. Making a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And then the last one, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Now, people, I'd like to say this, and I'd like to say it, there's power in this. And what we're trying to do through the whole process is grow in our trust and understanding of who God is. We've taken a really hard look at ourselves and admitted some things that were objectionable. And what we've recognized, if we're following the procedure, is our inability to cast those out without his aid.
Mm-hmm.
To really get rid of this selfishness without his aid.
Mm-hmm.
See, it can't be done. See, so if we're saying we're powerless with our mouth and with our actions, we're trying to do something, we don't understand step 1.
Yeah.
You see?
Right.
So we're guides for people to understand that and to really go through that process and look and see if we've done that. Now watch, because this kind of like verifies what I've said about this is about trying to find a power and trust this power. Step 6 immediately tells you, are you now willing to let God? Say, are you in a position where you're willing to trust him? It says, can he take them all? Every one. Now listen to this. This is I don't understand what they say in the rooms when you read this. If you still cling to something, we will not let go. We ask God to help us be willing. See, we don't want to. We want to stay where we're at. Change goes into uncomfortableness for me right immediately in my head. You see what I mean? So I'm uncomfortable, and I want to stay where I'm comfortable. Whatever it is, I know it, and I cling to it. It's common to me. So I don't want to go to this new thing. It's kind of like scary.
And proof of that is you'll hear people say, right, well, there's some defects of character I don't want them to remove. Haven't you heard that? I've heard people say that.
Yes.
I really don't want that taken away. That might be beneficial to me. But this says all, doesn't it?
Yeah. All is all.
All is all.
Yeah, what I'm really trying to focus on here at this one, because this is the big thing, I think, for us, is if we're not guiding people to learn to rely upon this power, then I think we're doing it wrong. This isn't a reliance upon sponsorship or steps or meetings. This is about trying to find a power by which to live, to go to him with a new attitude and a new relationship. I call it contriteness. You know what I mean? To be humble. Remember what it said? Humble is something to be desired. So there we go. And then the next one is about step 7, and that's why we put it together. They're just 2 little paragraphs, but they're just crammed full, and we will try to open those up if we can. You pray. Do you have a new attitude? Do you understand your dilemma? Do you see that you need a Savior?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, you're turning your will and your life over to Him. Your will and your life over to Him.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the thing. Are you humble enough to see that and recognize that it's a process? But if you can do that, you see that, I think you're well on your way to learning what this is really about. It's not about the method or us or the teaching or the knowledge. It's about understanding who you are if you can go to God with a different heart.
Yes.
So step 7 could almost be referred to as the prayer of step 6. We call it the 7-step prayer, but...
That's why what do they say in step 3? That if done properly, that this can have I forget the wording, impact, on the whole program. Okay. Remember, I went back to step 3 because I knew I hadn't gone to God properly.
Yes.
So what's that mean, going to God properly? Because I know someone's asking that. Is there a proper way?
Well, I went to him with a contriteness. I went to him knowing that I needed him. I knew for the first time in my life that I wasn't going to be able to do this on my own. I couldn't bridge the gap, let's say. You see what I mean? And so I went to him with that kind of heart, and when I did, he came. I don't think it was the method. I don't think it was the prayer. I think it was him. And he stepped into my life, and he, from that day to this, I haven't had the obsession. I haven't woke up and say, oh, if I could just get back to sleep because I want to face the world. Now, there's been times I didn't want to get up and face anything, but it isn't because of the addiction. It isn't because of the obsessive desire to go out and use. It's not because I'm sick.
I remember those days. I remember getting up earlier than I needed to get up just so I could figure out a way to medicate.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I got to get on this. I've got to be at work at 9:00. I had better get a way to get something in me so I can deal with this. And that starts now. and I'm on the phone. The liquor store isn't opened early enough. I'm sitting. There was a place called the A Street Liquors right down the street off A Street in Hayward, California, and I was at their doorstep, at 5:30 a.m.
If this is true,
For weeks I did that.
What we're talking about, it's a matter of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's about where our priorities lie.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have the willingness or the desire to do this, are you asking him for it? Then if it comes and you know that you didn't want to do it, if it comes, you're going to stop giving yourself the credit and you're going to glorify him. See, I believe that's what God wants.
Yes, and always.
So it's kind of a... I'll stop because I'll take all the time on this because I'd really like to open this up. But let's hear from somebody else.
Eve. Hi, Eve.
Hi, Eve. Oh, I mean, hi.
And she talked to
Yeah.
herself again.
Hiya, it's hiya.
Okay. I'd really like to take a different stance on this, starting with step 1. And when I came into the rooms, and when many people come into the rooms, they're trying to get rid of this alcohol problem. And so it's that first part. But the second part, that our life is unmanageable, that becomes really clear after we've done the 4th and 5th step. If we've done it thoroughly, when we've looked at the exact nature of our wrongs, then that humility comes, and a desperation. Can I say a desperation? Because a lot of us come in, we're not early stage alcoholics. We end up doing these steps because we have found out that our way isn't working, and we've tried up-teen amount of times to try and change.
Right.
And so when we look at step 6, that very first part, entirely ready, I believe that you only can be entirely ready if you're convinced of your powerlessness over your entire life, of how unmanageable it is, of how you've kept on doing the same things and expecting different results. And to me, that's the key part, the second half of step 1, and that being entirely ready. And I think that I used to have a friend that I worked with at Serenity Lane who used to say she'd do the steps every single year, and she would lament when it came to 6 and 7. She was convinced that those were the hardest steps to take because it was so much introspection, like you were reading before about taking the book down and where have we missed out, where have we tried to make mortar without sand. This is really important work that only we can answer, and it's just, you're not doing this in front of any other human being. But really, it sets the whole pace for the rest of the steps. And like you said, you were able to go back and realize that you hadn't done step 3. So very important. And being willing to have all these defects of character removed from us is a really tall order. Because like you said, you may not be willing to let go of all of it, so it might take months of praying to be willing. It's a big 2 steps here.
Mm-hmm. You bet. Yeah, because if you don't know step 1 and you haven't done the work, and I hate to say that you can call it work if you haven't followed the process, then maybe you're not in that position. To ask God. And maybe you're going to have to practice, going to Him and learning to rely in that. But you have to understand one, like you're saying, that's not going to take place if you don't understand your powerlessness.
Yes.
See, and there's huge things that get in the way of that. And that's why it's important to have a sponsor. This pride and this ego, that takes place, this arrogance about the humanness. Mm-hmm. One of the things that my sponsor had me do in step 6 to give me a really good picture of who I was draw a tree, use the trunk for 100 forms of fear with my name on it, put on the trunk, but driven by 100 forms of fear. And then the roots of the tree was in a soil of self-centeredness. That was the soil. And then the roots went down, and they were the 7 deadly sins. And then up in the tree was what everybody's seen in the branches. You know what I mean? That was the addiction and all of this sort of stuff, and all this fruit that was up there. And every one of those could be traced back to one or all of these 7 deadly sins. And pride did lead the procession.
Certainly seems that way.
Selfish and self-centered, individual. But covetousness, all of this other stuff was there, and it was, and you could see it. Now, if that's true, and that's who we are, that's our nature separated from God, fallen from God. Do you see why you need Him? And this was driving us.
Yeah.
And this was producing what was up in the tree.
Yeah.
Well, then you have this visual for the first time in my life of what it was. And now mine might be a little different than yours, and it looks a little different in my life than yours because that's me and I'm an individual, but it's the same nasty tree. And we can't change that without God's aid. And I think we can't change it without growing and realizing that He's not only died for our sins, but He's imputed His righteousness to us because we have none.
Yes.
So I'm
sorry.
So I'm thinking that if we're trying to remove our character defects, we might as well just be building a treehouse in that tree and living in it.
Oh, good.
Because I've heard people say, I'm working on this defect today. And I'm like, are you now?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now,
and I don't believe in let go and let God. I believe we're supposed to do this. But I think the work for us is trying to live out of the blessings that He's already given us, where we can start to do this service work for Him.
Back up, though, because somebody just heard that, and they're going, well, wait a minute. You guys talk about turning it over to God, so you do believe in let go and let God. What you're saying, though, is you don't believe in saying, okay, I'm just going to let go and let God fix this whole thing, and I'm not going to play a part in it. That's what you're saying,
That's
right?
right.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that He made us in that respect, but I think I think the work is for me is learning to live out of the blessings that He's given me, not to try to change it or work for something. He's already accomplished that. See, it's learning to live out of the blessings He's already given me and the spiritual principles by which to live. That's His thing. And then that's hard for me to do because I want to live out of the flesh, and I'm in this world, and it has its influence upon me, So if I see the importance of that's happening, I'll constantly be ruminating on Him and looking to Him and talking to myself about Him instead of listening to this crazy stuff that's going on in my head. And that's what's going to change my thinking. But that takes time.
Can I just say, too, that I think we misunderstand, a lot of people misunderstand when they read 6 and 7 and they get to the last sentence after the prayer in step 7, we have now completed step 7. I think that's referring to the mechanics of it. I don't think that's referring to you've completed living out step 7. You've just completed saying that prayer. Now you're moving into step 8. But step 6 and 7 isn't just read. Well, none of these steps are. Just reading this and going, okay, now we've read it. Now we move on. There's much more to it than that, right?
Don't you think if you've said that prayer and you've meant it, though, aren't we truly leaving it at the foot of the cross? Aren't we really, haven't we done? I mean, if we know that we are powerless, I mean, I understand this, that we play a part in it, but to me, the playing a part in it would be to remain connected in this personal relationship with the Lord. And it's a daily experience and a daily understanding and growing in who He is, and that's what a relationship is all about. But if we've taken this step thoroughly, I believe if you've said that prayer and you really are entirely ready and you've prayed to have all those defects removed, then it's God's work in us.
I agree. I think this is why it's so important to have somebody walk with you through this, because if you're just saying it because that's what it says in print, so you said some key words, thoroughly, for instance, and someone said, okay, do you know what you're praying here? Do you know what you're actually saying? What does that mean?
Yes.
And I think that being able to answer yes to that comes out of a deep understanding of step one.
However, somebody can easily say yes, and hasn't been thorough.
It hasn't been.
That's why I said it's such a difficult step. I mean, it's between you and the Lord.
That's true.
And getting right with the Lord. So it is. It's a hard and difficult step.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you guys, and I'll start with Eve. What about the chronic relapser? And let me tell you what I mean by that. I'm not talking about the guy that just keeps coming in and out of the rooms and sits there. And I'm talking about the guy who's followed the directions that you've laid forth, right? Has gone there, has done everything, really believes they mean the answer yes to this question, for instance. They've gone through it. They've gone through 12. They've worked with others. They have turned their will and their life over to the care of the God who is God. They've done all the right stuff. They mean it to the core of their being.
But do they tomorrow?
Yeah. So what's going on? Because I'm going to be seeing a guy, you guys know what I'm talking about, tomorrow. That's the case. And he knows this stuff backwards and forwards.
Yes.
And he is 100% convinced that he's convinced.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
Well, what about if he really is? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Bruce.
What about if he really is? See, this is a case, what we're talking about, where knowledge isn't the answer.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing on the introduction I was trying to do was point out that it's about building a relationship, a trust with God. It's not talking about a higher power. It's not talking about with God here.
Right.
And are you doing that? Do you see your need for that in your life?
Yes.
Not just to go into a room and talk about it. That's saying you have power.
Mm-hmm.
So we have people that know it inside and out, but they're depending upon this knowledge they have and not the power, not God.
And yet, when I talk to this guy, he denies that and said, "No, I really am depending on God."
And let me ask you a question too. When a person says they know God and they believe in God,
right?
Does that mean they trust Him?
Of course not.
See, and that's what this is. This is learning to put yourself in His hands, and live out of His precepts and His concepts, not yours. Your will and your life. And you're turning that over. But I believe if you're doing that with the right heart, that is done. And now you have to learn to live out of it.
I think it's a daily thing. I really do. I think this relationship with Jesus, that it needs to be growing and vital. In Lamentations 21, the Lord's mercies are new every morning. It doesn't carry over. The book tells us that we can't rest on our laurels. And I don't care who the person is, whether it's a theologian, a missionary, or just your average person. We can remove Jesus from the throne any old time. It happens so cunning, baffling, and powerful that is, that our flesh would just like to just be on that throne. And so that's the battle, I think. And that I don't know all the answers to that one, because I've been perplexed by that. I have relapsed twice since I came into the rooms, and I had some knowledge,
right?
And it didn't do a darn thing for me. And it's my relationship that is something that I need to prize and guard with everything that I have in my being, and prioritize. Prioritize.
I believe if we're not growing, if we haven't gone to step 11, to our priests, our rabbis, and our ministers, and received this other book and learning to live by that. You see what I mean? If we're not being discipled, if we're, in other words, being taught to grow, if we lose that conscious contact, what the steps call it, well, then I think the world has an influence upon us. See, we're no longer living in the world and seeking Christ, but we're living in the world, and the world's having its influence upon us. And the devil, if we can't beat him, and our own flesh, you see, that's the three things that we have to be careful of. But each one of those can come at us 9,364 different ways. So it's a real battle, you know, and if you don't think the world doesn't have its influence upon you, think about the TV. Think about your language.
Yeah.
Think about the pornography. You know, think about your own fleshly desires. You know, and I'm telling you, if I don't stay plugged in, they're going to have their way. Okay, and I can't always lay it at the devil's door.
Right.
Yeah, I just can't do it. But I think that not being aware and seeking and praying, I think that it's fertile ground for him to play and to plant his seed and to get into my life. I just believe that. But we like to see it as that if we're not spiritually fit, the insanity returns. That's all it is. It's really simple. It's not a big, glaring thing.
And how can I possibly be spiritually fit if I'm not including the Lord in my day?
How can you? How can you? And each day, I think you see more and more your need for him because you see more and more of what's taking place.
Yeah.
He could only, I think if you was to look at what was really wrong with us, I don't think you could take it. You couldn't absorb it.
I agree with you.
He's been really merciful to just give us glimpses of this thing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know? So I think that one of the things well, we won't get into that. I confuse the issue by bringing too much, but I'm telling you that if our heart's right, the prayer is meaningful. If we're contrite and humble, and we're asking him to come into our life and to help us, I do not believe that he refuses a contrite heart. I think he raises the humble and resists the prideful.
Yeah.
Now, I've used a lot of different words for that humility. And we don't want to get confused. They all mean the same thing. You know, you have to go to him with this heart that understands, I need you. That's all it is. And this method showed me that.
Yes.
Closing thoughts, Eve?
No, I think that does it for me.
Yeah.
I am actually convicted sitting here.
Me too.
And thinking, you know, I'm even in that mode right now where I was doing well for a while, but this morning I was running late and I thought, I'll read my Bible later. And even that's not what I mean when I say that. I mean where I really am in his presence. I'm transformed by what I'm reading, and he's doing the work. And that takes time and it takes commitment. And when I don't do that first thing in the morning, so I'm sitting here squirming, actually, people, that I didn't do that today. I'm not connected.
Bruce?
Well,
closing thoughts?
I think that I'll just add on to what Eve said. If you don't think you don't need a quiet place alone to go to the Lord and be with him on a daily basis to start your day off, good luck.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, It's mandatory for me, and I'm not saying it like it's a burden. It's the most wonderful, glorious thing that ever took place in my life.
Mine
Amen.
too.
Amen. Yeah. Next week, steps 8 and 9. Step 8 reads, I'll read you from the original manuscript, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make complete amends to them all. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And just as a little preview, I will tell you that the injure them or others is not you.
That's right.
And we'll expound on that a little bit more next week. All right, so now check this out. There's several ways you can listen to this show. You can go to take12radio.com. You can type in the number 12 or the word 12. It'll take you to the same place. And click on the Listen Online button, or you can click on the Watch Online button. That'll give you our YouTube version. You can click on the Follow Us on Podomatic and sign up to be a member of Podomatic for free for your tablet, your smartphone, and all those devices. That way you can comment on the show. And it helps with our demographics, being able to track those. And we're on all the different social networking sites, LinkedIn, Google+, Twitter. We're all on Twitter. And all that stuff and much, much more. So there
Did
that
you
is
actually
there.
do all those things for you can tell people this?
What? Get connected to all those resources? Yeah. Because you know what? Different people use different methods to listen to podcasts and broadcasts. So some people listen to all of it on Twitter. Some people listen to all of it on Google+.
Facebook, whatnot.
Facebook.
I'm lost.
Yeah. Yes, but now you're found. All right.
Hopefully not by social media.
If you would like a CD of Ray White's CD, Learning to Live Again, you can go to take12radio.com, click on the donate button, and donate no more or no less than $11, and we will send you a copy of it. And the song from that CD we're closing out with this week is called Back Amongst the Living. Here's Ray White.
Every now and then I think of how it used to be. It took a while to break the chain, but now I've been set free. A second chance at this thing called life, that's what I've been given. I'm here to say I'm alive and well, and back among the living. I was lost, but step by step, I finally found a way. Things are good and getting better, living for today. A second chance at this thing called life, that's what I've been given. I'm here to say I'm alive and well, and back among the living. I'm living, loving, loving life, filled with gratitude for all the ones who helped me find the truth. I meet with folks a lot like me, I don't have to be alone. Found a brand new way to live, and I've got to pass it on. A second chance at this thing called life, that's what I've been given. I'm here to say I'm alive and well, and back among the living. I'm here to say I'm alive and well, and back among the living.
Until our next broadcast, this is Eve D, Bruce H, and the Monty'man. We're wishing God's serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
This has been a broadcast of Take 12 Recovery Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Kitty, 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 kitty.